How we doing, everybody? It is Saturday morning, July 29th. We are back again with another Light It Up. Start of week 9. Like I've been saying the last few weeks, I'm on a roll. I'm on a record. Not as far as I've been doing pretty good with my wins, but I just mean as far as doing shows. My consistency, I'm proud of myself. I made 9 full weeks without taking off a Saturday, except for that All-Star break weekend. Okay, how's everybody today? Hope we had a good night. I had a great day yesterday. Yesterday was the dog day afternoon. I never play so many dogs. I took a big. We talked about it in our chat yesterday. I've been having a good week, so I took a real big swing last night. I put everything I was up on the line last night, and for once it worked. Usually that don't work. Usually you shoot yourself in the foot like that. I almost had too many. I had too many bets, and I was after betting all of them. I was like, man, if I break even, I'm going to be happy. But we had a good night. Me and Big Ragu were big on those Kansas City Royals yesterday. Screw those money splits. Fuck all that. All that. You never get these big dogs, and not that I'm a dog player whatsoever, as you know. Usually, my I'm like that minus 105 to minus 130 type guy. 8 out of 10 times probably, but it just felt right yesterday. And that's one thing about the money splits, and not to say that you shouldn't be using money splits because, of course, they're valuable. But I just think they're just like another box to check off. I really don't think that they should be 50% of your cap or 60% of your cap. I mean, people worrying about money splits per hour sometimes, and that's just not me. And I can tell you one thing. If you do that, you'll never get on these big dogs because these dogs that we took yesterday all went against us. But of course, we got pretty lucky also. let's never forget the luck factor when it comes to betting sports in general. But anyhow, be that as it may, I have my special guest today, and hopefully we'll have a couple more people dropping in. I just told everybody, if you can make it, make it. If you can't, you can't. But the person that made it, a guy that we've been doing some things together, and we're a pretty good team. We come at things at a from different angles. I always kind of like that old school, new school, and yes, I'm the old school. So, but anyhow, let us get our boy Moose Money in. There he is.
Dommy, what's up? How you
What's
doing?
up,
How's
buddy?
everybody in the Who-Bangin Nation out there?
We are good. We are doing good. Good to see you, Moose. Up nice and early on a Saturday morning. I know this show is not easy for the West Coast guys to jump in on, but Moose had a good reason for being up this morning, so we're all good.
This is very applicable right now. Very applicable.
Read that shirt, folks. Read that shirt.
Yeah.
Burritos, beer, and baseball.
Burritos, a little too much beer, and maybe a bit too much baseball last night. Maybe a bit.
I hear you, man. Glad you made it. Interesting. Baseball's been interesting since the All-Star break, as it always is. Things are changing. Some teams didn't come out of the break too good. I mean, those first series I really wasn't worried about, but now there's some signs pointed to some teams that did really well in the first half that might be faltering a little bit, and usually that comes down to pitching. But how was your day yesterday?
I only had one bet. I was actually driving back from Arizona.
Oh, that's right.
I had a kind of a big day on Thursday. I got the results of a teacher credential assessment that I took, and I passed. So I am now going to be a credentialed teacher in the state of California. So that was what was going on Thursday. Driving back on Friday. Didn't do like a full cap of the Dodger and Red game, but I liked the under. That was the only bet I had. I took it full game under 9.5 and lost it in the 7th inning, 8th inning, I believe. I forget what. Tough loss. But hey, those things happen. I was kind of kicking myself because I didn't really do like a full deep dive, and I just played the number, and I've told myself, Dom, I don't know how many times I've told myself the same fucking rule over and over and over and over and over again, but I keep breaking these rules. And it was don't make bets unless you've done the full dive, and unless you've gone to the deep end and swam with the sharks. Don't make the bet. And I made the bet and I lost it. So
I agree with you, Bruce, and we all do that. I was talking the other night that when I make those last minute bets, like, oh, the game's starting in 10 minutes, boom.
Yeah.
I lose those bets all the friggin' time too. Even if I cap the game, but I didn't put the game in, I was watching the line, then I forget about it. If I put late bets in, like right before the game, it's not a good sign for me usually. I don't know why. It's coincidence, maybe. Who knows why? Now, yesterday, that game, I had a lot of dogs yesterday, and I laid off Cincy because the number kept on going up and up and up against them. But I love Cincy yesterday, only for the reason is that they beat the lefties last few times they played against lefties. Two of them in Toronto last week, they beat them. So I had my eye on them, but it was the Dodgers, and I don't like going against the Dodgers like that. And that number climbed to plus 210. It was like 170, and like I said, I had a couple dogs already, so couple won, couple lost. But I laid off of that game, but I'm glad that you were able to jump on that. That was just a weird cap. We had KC. Me and Doc, the big Ragu, talked a lot about yesterday's Kansas City game. We got it like Springer. Yeah, we like Springer. I got him plus 148, and I had the team total over 3.5 at minus 120. So I got those both. I lost with the Astros. They were plus 102. I lost that game. I also bet the Brewers against the Atlanta plus 150. Lost that one. But then Boston came through plus 127. The Cubs came through plus 135. I took Miami on Thursday night as soon as that line came out at minus 140. I love that. I think Miami's going to – they faltered a little bit after the break. I think Miami's going to be on a roll. I think Miami one of their issues was a little bit of their pen, even though they got a good Sierra number lately, but they added David Robinson. The Mets got rid of Robinson. I don't know why. To me, that just waved the white flag. The Mets are just looking at 2024 with that trade, obviously. We did get a good prospect back. We got a couple good players, but I was not in favor of getting rid of Robinson. And if you want to look at next year, I mean, I still want to see the Diaz-Robinson late 8th inning, 9th inning combo would have been deadly. So
yeah, Robertson had some issues last year though with the Phillies.
Yeah, he did.
He struggled for the mid to the ending, and then he started to pick it up. But even in the playoffs, there was I think it was Game 2 NLCS that he got rocked up a little bit. Drury, I believe, took him out for like a 3-run bomb, but. When he has that slider working, dude, he has one of the best sliders in baseball. I'll
tell you that the theory with the Mets taking him for the beginning of the year was a great theory before Diaz gets hurt. I mean, but they had to rely on Robinson too much. He wasn't, he had to be the number one reliever, and they did work him. And he didn't have the greatest season, but he was doing well. I liked him. I want him to stick around. But Mets have a lot more problems than that. Besides, they got to figure out when and how to pay Pete Alonso. You just can't get rid of him. He's the face of the team. He's just like the next David Wright for the team. The Mets always have those kind of plays that you just got to keep around. The Piazzas, the Wrights, the Alonsos. He's just that type of guy to me. I'm a big Pete fan. So banged 2 home runs yesterday. Seems like a little bit late. That Pete's starting to heat up now. That injury he had to his wrist when he got hit on the ball before the All-Star break, I think really lingered. I think they were playing it down. One thing I don't like.
Didn't he compete in the home run derby though again this year?
Yes, and then he shouldn't have.
If he had a wrist injury, he's not competing. I mean,
and he didn't get past the first round. Well, he went up against a heater in that first round, but
yeah, if it comes out that he had a lingering wrist issue and he competed in the home run derby,
that's bullshit, right?
Yeah,
shouldn't happen.
Who let that happen?
Right, who let that happen is right. I got issues with all that kind of stuff. The same way I have issues with the World Baseball Classic. I'm starting to hate it. People just keep on getting hurt. They got to do it a different way. I don't hate the World Baseball Classic. I hate when they have it. But if you think about it, when else can they have? I don't know when they should have it. So
yeah, well, and to the point, I was looking for any way, shape, or form I could be on the Cardinals today and back Wainwright. But one of the issues that I saw when I was kind of going through the whole Wainwright thing is the World Baseball Classic messed up his entire timeline. And
sure did.
And he came out during the regular season and he didn't look right at all. And you could tell. And all of a sudden he started claiming injuries. Inflated ERA was the diagnosis by most of the fan base. But he came back and he looked really good. And you go, if he was like that at the beginning of the year, if he had that like crispness, he used that specific word, crispness. If he had that type of feel and release on his pitch going into the season, rather than having to try to rush everything for the World Baseball Classic, where would the Cardinals be right now? Because Wainwright can absolutely anchor that rotation, not necessarily as the ace, but a guy that stabilizes things. And with him sucking this year, that wasn't happening. But,
and St. Louis has the power. You see the games they even lose. They score runs.
Yeah.
Even on that big, they had that big losing streak like in the mid-June, end June, they were losing games 9-6, losing games 8-5, things like that. So they can't hit the ball. But I do have a play on that game. But I have been riding the Cubs the last few games. I had them yesterday. I had them the last couple days. The Cubs are such a tricky team.
Yeah, well, and plus there's weather factor going on in these games today too. Baltimore, I believe, has thunderstorms. I think St. Louis has thunderstorms. I'm not the professor of geography, but I believe that area, that region. Again, don't try me to find me the Tommy Two Tones World Map book, but I'm pretty sure they're in the same general area, and there's a lot of thunderstorms and stuff kind of there. And shout out to everybody in the chat. Razor Sharp in the building. Jimmy Gomez all up in here. Sammy Comer's been a minute.
What's up, fellas? Razor was going to try to come on, but he had had other things to do today. We're trying to get him, but we'll get him back on again.
Yeah.
And thanks everybody for coming in. Jimmy, you're up early, baby. That's a good thing. Or did you not go to bed? Which one was it, Jimmy?
Still up or woke up?
And my man Good in the morning. Good morning, Good. Sammy, how you doing? Thanks you guys for jumping in. I thought it was only 11 games. I guess I didn't scroll all the way down. It is 15 full games.
Well, there were some games that weren't posted. Because
there was some games that weren't posted yesterday
initially, but it's going to be Clevenger today for Chicago White Sox.
Right.
But I mean, I've gone through because I was up so early. Dommy, I'm prepared. All right.
Okay, man. Let's go. As far as weather, by the way, in New York, we're supposed to have thunderstorms today. It's cloudy right now. It's been hot and humid, very hot and humid. It's been like a heat wave this last week. We've had like some weird thunderstorms and things like that. Not sure if it's going to happen today, but they're predicting that it should. But there you go. And as I talked about with the Mets, well, you'll probably see them. I mean, today's game is Corbin against Carrasco. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? Runs, and more runs maybe. But I have a feeling the Mets are going to do their bullshit now. They're going to go on a roll. They're going to have a great August. Like I said yesterday now, Chad, they're going to shoot their load like a 12-year-old Catholic school boy. Nice and early,
All right.
Speaking from an experience of being a 12-year-old Catholic school boy.
Oh, there you go. All right, let's go down this road.
Yeah, really. All right, let's get it going. First game up I'm looking at is the Angels in Toronto. I got a parlay and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other bets going. This one was a little bit tricky for me. But I did put a bet on the Angels plus 109. I kind of listen. Manoah is just a tricky pitcher. At home, he's had his last 31 innings, 31 walks, a 9 ERA, 9 homers, a 336 opponent batting average. Detmers now that last time he pitched was against the Pirates, 5 innings, 2 runs, but 9 Ks, no homers, and they lost that game. But the Angels' last 30 days versus righties have been good. Number 2 in ISO, number 10 in OPS. Toronto doesn't really hit lefties that great. They usually have a hard time with lefties, kind of like the Mets. But I took a shot with LA. I think now that Ohtani's staying, I'll tell you, we all should have been. I don't know if you were, but on Thursday we should have banged that doubleheader. My theory on that doubleheader against Detroit was that Ohtani was pitching the first game. If he pitches long, then he's not going to play the second game. Yeah. And I took a shot with Detroit plus 105 for the second game, only for that reason. What did he do? Pitches 9, 1 hit, 0 runs. Right? And then he goes into the second game. First of all, he comes out of the first game and doesn't even have ice on his shoulder. Right? Within 5 minutes, right? And then he plays the second game, hits 2 home runs, and then gets a cramp and comes out of the game. Unbelievable. The Angels, that might have sparked the Angels was my point. And I think the Angels are going to go on a little bit of a roll right now. Not my favorite team. A weird team, up and down all year. I think this whole Tani thing had a lot to do with it. So we'll see what happens now. But I did put a bet in on the Angels plus 109. How about you?
All right, so I'm on the Alek Manoah walk prop. And I was looking at the sides both left and right. Detmers does have a crazy righty-lefty split, but Toronto does not have really big left-handed hitters. I mean, it's Kevin Biggio, it's Dalton Varsho, and those guys are not power, like those are not good left-handed hitters when you look at a split that you want to see on the left-handed side of the batter's box. He's got a hard contact rate since July versus right-handed batters of 43.9. That's not great, and that's versus right-handed batters. Right. But he has a 209 batting average against versus right-handed batters this month, but a 4.58 ERA. So that means that he's still able to get out of, or he's able to, get out of different counts, but he's not able to necessarily get out of innings. And that can be a problem for a team that does have a pretty high hard hit rate. 4 of Toronto players are over 40% hard hit rate this year alone. But the surprising thing that I found when I did this breakdown was the average against Alek Manoah since he's come back from this little issue that he had. Right. He's got a 204 batting average against since he's come back with a 5.02 ERA and a 352 slug. So it's kind of like that means there's base runners that are getting on because he's walking guys at a crazy rate. 13.8%, 13.8% walk rate. Yeah, that's going to get you most of the times. But the fact is that he's able to induce outs from hitters. And that's kind of why I started looking, okay, well, maybe it's more of the fact that he's starting to figure out his spin rate again, but he doesn't have the feel for it. And that's the note I wrote down. Manoah finding stuff, but not feeling consistency. Because even in the minor leagues, he had 5 walks in 7 2/3 innings. So I lean under here. I do lean under, but my best play was going to be the Alek Manoah walk prop, and I put a full unit on that. So I'm over 2.5 walks, and I believe I just got plus money on it.
That's a beautiful bet. I like that bet a lot. I don't really look into prop bets like that so much. Like I said, me and you kind of come at things from different angles, which I love. Yeah, and I like that a lot. I'll tell you, both pitches last three starts are terrible. I mean, Detmers is both pitched 14 innings total in their last 3 starts, which is not good. And Detmers 8 ERA, Manoah 5, and both their whips are over. Manoah's was 1.40 and Detmers 1.50. But
and these offenses are absolutely crushing the side of the arm that they're seeing. Toronto versus left-handed pitching, 176 weighted runs created plus, 347 batting average against, and that's 125 plate appearances. All right, that's not like 50 plate appearances where it skews the number. That's over 100 plate appearances, so that's a legit sample size. And what really pushed me over the edge is I saw the Angels' walk rate is over 10% since July 10th, and it's at 11.1% walk rate since July 10th. So they're really taking their walks, and with Neto back, that's even more reason that they're going to start taking walks because it's more guys in the lineup that will take pitches, will force Manoah to throw strikes. And that is something that if you look at his game logs, he's generally either 50-50 split ball strike ratio or ball in the zone, out of the zone. And that's not necessarily what you want to be unless you're inducing that swing and miss. And he has not been inducing that swing and miss consistently. So I'm going to take his walk rate over, and I feel really good about it.
And what was the number?
2.5. 2.5. It was 2.5 at plus money. So I got a 2.5, and I just took it now because it just popped up at plus 110.
Good look. Without a doubt. I see let me see something about Manoah. Can I find anything else out? No. I mean, I love what you're saying about that. He has 72 innings pitched already. He's pitching an average of 4.5.
But that was like game, before when he was sucking.
All before. Yeah, just going to say that's all before. So those numbers are really kind of skewed. Love that bet. So we got 2 bets on that game. The over 2.5 walks for Alex Manoah, and I have the Angels outright plus 109. I just think the Angels are going to go on a little bit of a roll. I think they're a team to kind of follow for the next little while and see. I think they're going to go on a little bit of a run.
I mean, they kind of have to, right?
They kind of have to, and they made a couple of moves. The White Sox basically emptied a lot of players out of their locker room.
Yeah, but the White Sox are not sending the right guys out. I mean, they have.
I don't know what they were doing. Yeah,
I mean, Luis Robert would be the piece that I would think like, all right, you can probably get a major return for him. Like if this is going to be a rebuild, or maybe the White Sox think they're still close to contending, even though they don't really have much depth in their starting pitching like everybody thought they might have. Right. Giolito didn't really pan out as much. Kopech has been a nightmare. Clevenger, just Clevenger at this point. Yeah. Cease has been rough too. I mean,
is it the White Sox? Is it that organization? What is it, man? It seems like every year they seem to have the pieces, and yet they seem to be like the sexy pick at the beginning of the year always, and they just keep on.
we can just call a spade a spade. I mean, La Russa was
I know.
Was awful. He may have set that franchise back a couple of years. So that
could be the talk about my boy Tony, but yeah, bro, he was past the game at that point.
Yeah, you're gone. You had a great career. Like, leave on a high note. Now everybody that watched him in Chicago, like falling asleep in the dugout, having a fan give him what he was supposed to do as a manager on the field, the pinch run.
That is classic, man. That was classic.
La Russa, pinch run, and then it's like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. It's like, no, the fans should not be the first reaction in the managerial decision.
That's funny, man. Next game up. You are so right. Next, and I just to jump on that a little bit, he's not there yet, but I have a feeling he might be getting there pretty close. Is my boy over here in Queens, Buck Showalter. The game's starting to catch up to him.
Yeah,
starting to catch. He's not at La Russa level, but I'm starting to. I didn't like how any of his. I don't like the way he managed this year at all. I think last year he had a lot to do with us losing in the end. He just killed our starters. He played them to death. Our team was shot. Bassett even talked about it. His last couple starts, how he was just done. So, but anyhow, we don't have to worry about that this year. They're lucky if they make the playoffs. Detroit, Miami. The line got away from me a little bit. I wanted to bet Miami. I took them Thursday night quick at -140. I knew that line was going to go up. I loved Miami yesterday. I thought that was one of the best bets on the day. But this line got a little bit away from me now. It opened at 151. I don't really go over -140. So I was looking for other ways to play this game. I kind of looked at the team total, but it was like 5.5 or something, or 5. It was too high. Oh, the juice was high. I forget what it was, but I shied away from it. Cueto, I mean, listen, every start he seems to be getting better. He had that bad start at first. The second start was better. His third, he's been getting better and better with all his starts. Marlins got a good Sierra numbers. Their bullpen is really good. Like I said, they added Robertson. Detroit versus lefties last 30 days is not great. Their ISO and their OPS numbers are dropping. The Brisky. Is that how you say his last name?
Brisky, yeah.
Bo Brisky. I mean, listen, there's not much I like about Detroit in this game. Detroit still had that doubleheader. They had to go to Miami yesterday. They lost yesterday. Now they got to play again today in the afternoon, 4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. It's a tough little stretch for Detroit.
Yeah.
I kind of, I like Miami. I would like to maybe put them in a parlay with the Phillies maybe or something like that. But right now I didn't do anything. Did you?
Yeah, I did. I jumped on the line. I mean, I know you mentioned that the money line not great. Full game -147. The first 5 -150, but I took it. I mean, you literally hit everything that I was going to talk about. Only thing I'll add: Cueto during the day since 2018, 3 ERA, 0 ERA, limited innings pitched, and that was in 2018, 2019, and then 3.57, 3.11, and then a 2.84 last year during the day. He has excelled during the day. And if you look at Detroit versus right-handed pitching on the road since July 3rd, 73 weighted runs created plus, 210 average. And then Miami at home, 119 weighted runs created plus. Doesn't matter righty, lefty, just at home. 789 OPS, 300 average. One of the plays, I didn't make it because I do think Brisky could actually have a pretty good start. But Joey Wentz is actually supposed to be the main pitcher today. He's supposed to be the one that comes in and has the significant innings, and he would be a call-up. He's struggled in the minors. He's not really looked all that good in the minors. He did not look good in the majors. So the play that I would give you, if you're not wanting to side, because I wrote it down as a major lean, would be first 5 for Miami. Team total over 2.5. They've covered that number a lot at home. They've covered it.
That's a good way to look at it.
But I do think Brisky is going to have a decent game here. I think he'll be fine.
I wouldn't be surprised. Be surprised.
And
Miami don't crush teams usually. They win a lot of 1-1 ball games.
Yeah.
They're not a good team to take on a run line. They win a lot of one-run ball games a lot of times. I like that first 5. That first 5 over 2.5 is such a good bet. It was something I used a lot in the first half. I teched the Rangers, the Reds, both at home, Tampa. All those home teams, that 2.5 was like hitting like bing, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah.
It's a number that I don't think a lot of people even look at that sometimes, and every book don't offer it. I'm assuming, but
and if I didn't eat the juice
if
I didn't eat the juice on the money lines and take the first 5 in full game, I'd be on the first 5 team total over. But I just felt like it was just too much of a Marlins spot, and
I got you.
I looked at it like Dommy. It's one of those plays that like as I get more and more familiar with gambling, I was like, God damn, this feels like a trap. Like this feels like it's a trap, but it feels like if it was going to be a trap, it'd be more at the minus 120 phase, kind of inviting some of that money a little bit more,
right?
And minus 150,
right? You'd be saying that Marlin line is nice. Oh, minus 125, but that's a good one. You jump on it. I understand what you're saying. I get it. BetUS has a double result bet a lot of times on their plays. I wonder what that is on the win the first.
Yeah, I wouldn't
it's basically
mind
a parlay. Win the first 5, win the full game. I've played it rarely. A couple times here and there. I did just for the hell of it, and it was always with a big favorite, because it seems to knock down I won one of them with the Astros, but their Astros were like minus 210, and I got like a minus 120 for doing it. So it was just really not a good bet because you still got to hit both. But it's like a parlay, get minus 120, But anyhow, I like that look on you with Miami.
Yeah, but I didn't play that bet, but because I took the first 5 money line run line and the full game money line run line, kind of making it a hybrid minus 1.
Miami's team total is 4.5 minus 110. That's interesting.
Yeah, because the bullpen for Detroit hasn't been good. It's just I don't like to take the team totals when I'm also expecting that team to win. Because I'm losing that 9th inning.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Interesting bets. We will see what happens. What is next on the board? What do I have up here? Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. I didn't take this game. I mean, I like Philadelphia. I was thinking of putting Philly with the Marlins actually in a parlay. It would be about plus 170 or something. I mean, I really hate doing that. If I'm going to do a 2-team parlay, I really like to get at least 2 to 1. But Nola's been pitching better. Nola's been going deep. Nola's been going deep all these games. I'd be interested in knowing what his outs. How many outs?
It was juiced to holy hell to the
18 and a half too. That's a risky one. 18. And
a half. That's
over 17 and a half maybe. But Nola's been pitching deep. Nola's like one of those pitchers that I talked about that is a veteran pitcher, was going to have problems at the beginning of the year, like a lot of the pitchers. I believe the new rules had a big impact on the veterans more than anything. It just makes sense. It's common sense. Some of these younger pitchers have seen that shit in the minors.
Yeah.
So, big adjustment, man. You've been pitching. You're in the majors already 10 years, 7 years, whatever the hell it is. But you've been pitching since, grade school, right? You pitched in high school, obviously. You were good enough to go to college. They've been pitching that way for long. Creatures of habit, man. Pitchers are baseball players. Sports is your creatures of habits. We're creatures of habits. So I think it was a tough thing with that. I think the rules really had something to do with a lot of these pitchers not doing well at the beginning of the year. Nola's been doing good. The Pirates, everybody was getting a little, hot and heavy on the Pirates in the first half. And Pirates, as always, seem to come back down to earth. They never just have the pitching to go all the way. And I have no bet on this game. Unless, like I said, my only thought was to put it maybe with the Marlins in a parlay. But other than that, I don't have a bet on this game. Do you?
I do. I am on the Nola K-prop. And reason why, last 5 road starts. I mean, you referenced kind of that slow start. A lot of bad starts on the road early. And in fact, it's given him a 3.27 home ERA versus a 4.89 road ERA. But the 4.89 is not an Aaron Nola type ERA. Like, he's better than that. And you look at his last 5 road starts, just his last 5, isolating his last 5. 252 batting average. It's a 5.03 FIP, but a 2.9 xFIP, meaning that they're expecting quite a bit of improvement here if his defense is able to make some of the.
Yeah, he got a little unlucky there.
Yeah, but that's you kind of have to bake that in with the Phillies that bad defense is going to happen. I mean, Trey Turner has been abysmal. You have Kyle Schwarber in the outfield, and that he should be as far away from the outfield as possible. The only thing that from him that goes in the outfield is a baseball. He should not lay a cleat in the outfield. But yet he's out there. They've had Harper at first base. Castellanos is out there, who has improved, but still horrific defense. So that's why you see that skew in the FIP. But what really got me was the 28.6 K rate in his last 5 road starts. And Pittsburgh, 26.9% K rates versus right-handed pitching since July 10th. With a 201 batting average against, 80 weighted runs created plus. They hung the 6.5 at -120, and which is kind of interesting because Nola hasn't really hit 7 strikeouts much this year. So the fact that they're putting it at -120 is the bookmaker saying, yeah, we want to protect ourselves a little bit against this.
I mean, as deep as he's pitched too, he hasn't really had the Ks. That's 100% right.
Yeah, and that's why when you see a line made like that, and I've heard Sharpie talk about this. If you're looking for a prop and you're expecting to see a number, and the number that they post is over what his general average is at negative value, you're generally getting a more likely scenario because he's only gone over 6 strikeouts, 3 times in his last 8 starts. So how they're setting it at his 6.5 at -120 is kind of weird, but that's also an indicator to me. Like, yeah, I think line makers are trying to protect against a potential big strikeout and a really good performance from Nola today. So I'm on the Nola K prop over 6.5 -120.
So with Sharpie, that's one thing about Sharpie. He has those damn. And that's what I like, that he knows what he's good at, and he sticks to that, and he has that K prop stuff down, man. Mm-hmm. He has those. It's it's like his specialty. It's good. It's good to see. But what you said, love it. Yeah. What you said was he says that if the number of the K prop is over the average of his Ks.
Yeah, over the average with bad, like with a minus, like 110, -115, -120. That's
take it.
Yeah, that's the kind of a protection. Like that's protection mode.
Right.
I mean, this is kind of one of those, like, if he was around, I'd love for him to clarify that, or if anybody in the chat has heard what that the kind of the rule is.
Yeah, we got to ask him. That's a good one.
Yeah, because that's one that, I mean, when I saw, I was like, fuck, 6.5 at -120. All right, I'm still on it.
Prop guy, but I do follow. I follow what everybody does. I try to take a little bit from here, a little bit from there.
Well, I'm a pitcher.
That's interesting.
So I'm a pitching coach, so if I can find a way to root for a pitcher, specifically,
I get you.
On it,
right. Yeah, I mean, I just isolate him in a different way, but I love that. I love that. Good morning, Avery. ATT 33 from North Carolina, my boy Avery. Take it easy on his White Sox. There's nothing. They do a good job of themselves, man. We don't have to bash them, Avery. Listen, I can't say nothing about any team this year, right? Right, Avery? Look, come on, man. I can't say nothing. So, just to bolster your little bit, what you were saying, last 3 starts, Nola, combined last 3 starts. He pitched 20 innings, so that's nice. 3.98 ERA. Here's my number that I just love, 0.89 whip. I just love that under 1 whip. Yeah. 19 Ks, but 5 home runs. So he's led up to a little bit of the long ball. Priest's last 3 starts, he only pitched 10 innings total. Over 9 ERA, 1.5 whip, 6 Ks, 4 home runs. Obviously, the advantage is with Nola. Obviously, that's the Phillies' bats. Still the Phillies' bats, even though their defense is terrible. Mm-hmm. Maybe the over might not be a bad play, but it's kind of high up there. I like your Nola K prop, though. That's a good look on that. Yeah. Nice. Next game up. Let's see. I'm going by what I'm. Okay, let's go back to him. That was Phil. My boys are playing Nationals. Now, watch this be a friggin' 1-0, 3-0, 2-1 type of ball game. But if you look at numbers and you're looking at it's runs, and more runs. Carlos Carrasco, every time I think this guy's going to get his shit together, he just has a worse start. I remember being at his first start. We were last year. Was it? Yeah, last year, Citi Field. was it the year before? His first start. The place was packed. The place was electric. It was like a playoff atmosphere. It was his first start. The place was going crazy. I'll never forget it. I talked about it the next day. Place was going crazy, and I have a video of it. Nuts, screaming, yelling. Like I said, like it was a playoff game. Mm-hmm. First comes out. Place goes wild again. Gets on the mound. First pitch, home run. I think it was against the Phillies. Lets up a home run. His first pitch. Yeah. The place was like dead silent, like it was empty. Within 3 seconds. It was just so funny, and I'll never forget that. And he hasn't been good ever since. Like I said, he got a little hurt. He's this and that. Carrasco's done. And we got Patrick Corbin, right? So we can talk about these two pitches, how bad as they are. But gambling and baseball, we could say, a million ways to take this game over, and who the hell knows what's going to happen. I didn't take this game. I left it alone. I had the Mets first 5 under 5 yesterday, under 4.5 yesterday, which I do a lot versus lefties because the Mets do not hit lefties. They never hit lefties. Last year, the year before, this year. What's up, Nasty? Good morning. And what's up, for Patashi? I see you. But listen, Corbin, the month of July. Corbin had a couple of those good games too, right? Get everybody a little bit tricky, He, but
he looked okay. Yeah.
He looked all right a little bit there. But in July, his last 3 games, 5.7 ERA in 23 innings. He pitched his last few games. All high-scoring games, 10-6, 17-3, 8-4. Big, games. Carrasco's last 7 innings, which was, I believe, 2 games, no less. But his last 7 innings, 16 hits, 9 earned runs. I'm off this game. I'm not going to touch this game. Did you? 9.5 is the total. I just stayed away.
Same. I'm off of this. I mean, I guess I'm kind of pulling up real quick the Mets at home versus left-handed to see if it's any better, but it is not. It is actually worse. So
it's worse. Okay.
The Nationals versus right-handed pitching has been brutal recently. After a really good run, like they were kind of cooling off quite a bit. You kind of expect that with some of the younger guys as they start to figure it out. Nationals might be a bet on team next year, from what I'm seeing right now with Abrams and Gore and Meneses and some of the things they're doing with Lane Thomas as well. But right now, it does look like they're a big fade. I'm off of this. Just to give people a couple of stats on this, just to kind of illustrate the point. The Nationals, since July 3rd, so basically for the month of July, 94 weighted runs created plus, which is below average. 399 slug, which is a little underwhelming. 251 average, kind of average. But those are not numbers where you're expecting like, okay, they're absolutely mashing the ball right now, especially when you incorporate the fact that they were hitting the ball much better earlier on in the year. And the Mets, I'm sure you've talked about those stats a lot about them, their ineptitude against lefties. So I'll leave that kind of alone. But lefties have created problems for the Mets, and it was literally just Alonso yesterday. I mean, it was Pete Alonso 5 and the Nationals 0. So if that's how the score is going to go, I would definitely kind of lean under here. But you're going to tell me I have to take it under with Cookie Carrasco and Patrick Corbin?
I know. And like I said, watch. It'll be a freaking 3-0 ball game. But
of course
I'm not touching it. Right.
Shout out to all the people that are on it.
Yeah.
I know. I saw some people on it, and it's like, I get it. Like, I look at those offensive numbers, but I'm not going to whistle past the graveyard and not look at Carrasco and Corbin's ERA and slugging and batting average against, because all those numbers are horrific.
Yeah, they sure are. So we are off that game. That's tonight. The next game up, speaking about those Chicago White Sox, they're home against, which I didn't have a pitcher listed, against Cleveland and Logan Allen. I didn't even really cap this game. I like Logan Allen. He's okay. But I don't know. Did you have a pitcher listed for the White Sox?
It is Mike Clevenger is listed as the pitcher today. Yeah, he's coming off the IL today. He did not go on a rehab, so but he should have his pitch count up to about 70-75.
Yep. So I'm off this game. I mean, I would definitely lean Cleveland, but I didn't take this game today. Did you?
I couldn't help myself. I did it again. I sprinkled a little K prop for Logan Allen. The White Sox versus left-handed pitching since July 3rd, 27% K rate. 26.7 K rate at home since June 23rd, and a 27% K rate at home this month. And Logan Allen has a sweeper and a changeup that he primarily gets his swing and misses on. If you go to Baseball Savant and you look up the numbers and the swing and miss percentages by the White Sox, the two pitches that you will see have the highest swing and miss and K percentage, or whiff and K percentage, the sweeper and the changeup. Those are the two pitches that Logan Allen uses. I didn't really want to put a full unit on it because Logan Allen hasn't exactly been a strikeout pitcher, and he's never really going to be a strikeout pitcher. But I think that in this situation, with the White Sox struggling against left-handed pitching and the fact that they're struggling against specific pitches that Logan Allen has, I couldn't pass up the big plus money. It was a plus 135 on the K prop over 5.5. So I took
5.5. Okay.
Yeah, 5.5.
5.5. Yeah. I mean, the only maybe slight issue I might have with Allen is that he hasn't pitched deep.
Yeah, he hasn't gone deep into games. No.
His last 3 games, 15 innings total, but a 2.30 ERA, 0.89 WHIP, 18 Ks though in those 3 games, to 2 home runs. So he did have 18 Ks. So that's 6. That's that's right there. You're right there. So,
but it was one of those like, God, dude, am I really going to pass up the White Sox struggling against lefties and specifically struggling against 2 pitches that this left-handed pitch?
Something happened to our boy Moose. He froze up a little bit, but I'm sure he'll figure it out in a minute. But he took the Logan Allen K prop. I don't blame him for taking that at all. That's good. You unfroze, Moves. You're back, Moose.
Sorry, I had to go drink from a lake and look majestic for a second. So.
Next game, tricky game. Like I had to lay off it because of yesterday, but I'll tell you the truth. I was almost thinking of going right back with Kansas City today, Jordan Lyles, but I'm not. Like I said, I had KC yesterday plus 148, and the team total over 3.5. They scored like 3 runs in the 10th inning and won the game. It was one of those. One of the gods blessed me yesterday for some reason, but I didn't touch this game today. All my games seem to be coming up now. All the rest of my games, these first bunch of games I didn't have much on. Bailey Ober, he's like kind of up and down. Let's go. Let's see what we have for Bailey Ober. 3 homers his last 2 starts. He does have good control, Ober, I think, but a lot of times it seems like that ball is just going like straight over the plate, and his hard hit numbers and stuff like that aren't the greatest. But he's a decent pitcher, but he's kind of up and down, I would say. And I mean, after yesterday's game, KC has Minnesota's just that weird team. Minnesota. They've been playing above what we normally see them play, and this is a time of year we start seeing them like falter a little bit. Last couple of years you thought they were gonna do some damage, and they had bad second halves. They do strike out a hell of a lot, that's for sure. Yeah. But KC, believe it or not, since about the last 30 days, they have increased a lot in their power numbers, like the X velo, the hard hit. They're like ranked 10th and 11th in the league on those kind of numbers. Lyles, July 6th, in July, 16 innings, 3.6 ERA. Yeah. He had that last out against the Yankees. He gave up the 4 runs in the first inning, and then he had a good outing after that, or 3 runs, whatever the hell it was. Because then he had he pitched 5 innings total, I believe. Only let up 1 more run and had struck out 3 or 4. So before that, he had 2 starts, 11 innings total with only 1 run in combined. Like one was against the Tigers, one was against the Guardians, who are a team who don't strike out and a team who can hit. So the team total over, I was kind of looking at again for Kansas City, but it was a little high. I didn't take anything on this game, but I would definitely lean KC today. I don't like Minnesota. I don't like Ober in this game. Do you?
Not really here. I mean, you mentioned the power stats.
The line is crazy.
Yeah, the line is crazy because you'd have to take a 5.5 on the team total, and the Minnesota Twins do not have the Atlanta Braves offense, so I'm not taking them in a 5.5 range. I'll take them at 4.5, but I'm not taking them at 5.5. Like that,
Agreed.
I don't know who just made that decision to give them the 5.5 designation, but I absolutely reject that. But I'm also not going to have the balls to play the under on that 5.5 as well. You mentioned Lyles has pitched, somewhat better. But I really couldn't make a good read on this because I wasn't really overly impressed with Bailey Ober. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Boom.
Thank you. And it's also kind of like the offenses. You don't really know if the Twins offense is going to sustain itself. It's been the number one offense against right-handed pitching. Actually, the second rated offense against right-handed pitching this month with a 137 weighted runs created plus. Their metrics are ridiculous. So unless I was on some kind of over here in some way, shape, or form, I wouldn't touch this, and that's kind of how it played out. I didn't touch this game. Tried to find a way to be on the over, but couldn't find a way. Didn't like the 2.5 at -250 or -150 for the first 5, and a 5.5 was not appealing to me at all. So off.
The thing that bothers me again is they strike out an awful lot. Wow.
Yeah, they do.
Boy, they strike out an awful lot.
I'm not doing it. I mean, I'll take if the team's striking out a lot, but they're also like hitting the ball really well. I'm not going to try to attack the K prop like I have in these other games where every single one of the K props, it's also correlated with the fact that the offense is not done well. And another correlation is the fact that there's a low walk rate. I didn't mention that in the other K props. The walk rate for both the teams I'm attacking today, low. Like 5%.
See, that's a good point. That's something what I like to see. That I was taught a while ago is that you gotta compare that walk rate to the also as part of your capping of that strikeout prop. And it's a good lesson for people. It's a good it's a good lesson and a great point to bring up without a doubt. But yeah, I'm off that game like you are. Let me see let me just go to the weather because I really didn't check. Let's see what we got so far. The Philly-Pittsburgh game, wind blowing out like 11 miles an hour. My theory with this, with weather and wind is, except for certain ballparks, if it ain't 15 miles an hour or above, I don't really concern myself with it. I've heard people talk about different things with weather, and especially 10 miles an hour and under. I really don't bother with that. To be honest with you. But there's certain parks like Yankee Stadium, and you see that weather pointing towards right field.
Oh God,
boy, that helps. Same with Citi Field. It's something I talked about a lot, and I about Citi Field. Same thing. I don't know what it is with New York, but both right field porches are
shorter.
Yeah, they sure are. I don't really see any big wind or anything. Dodger Stadium, 10 miles an hour blowing straight out. I don't really see any weather as a issue today, by the way. With
there are, besides Baltimore, St. Louis, and there's another game that there's supposed to be expected thunderstorms, or there might just be the two.
Now this Baltimore game, like the blitz blowing out to that right center field, it says 9.2 miles an hour. But what is a factor with overs as we humidity, and the humidity in the Northeast has been crazy. Mm-hmm. And the humidity is over 63% in Baltimore, and it's been like that here too. So sometimes that bodes well for a ball flying out. St. Louis, you mentioned before, 92 degrees, 50% humidity. That's a hot friggin' day, man. That's for sure. But anyhow, I just didn't really look at the weather and see if there was anything crazy going on, but it wasn't. Let's see. I was just interested in what is Minnesota. How did Minnesota do in their against the National League? They're 13-7. In the division, they're 23-17. Away, they're 13-17, and their home record is 23-7. Yeah, that was the thing. That also was that away record is pretty bad, man.
No. Yeah, I do not like. I like going against the Twins on the road, but I'm not going against the Twins on the road when they're at Kansas City. And fun fact,
it's the caveat is Kansas City.
Well, and a weird stat is that since 2010, I believe, The second highest home run total per stadium is Kauffman Stadium. It's Kansas City.
Wow.
Which is surprising because it's not a hitter-friendly park.
It is a little surprising. Yep.
But you look at the pitchers that they've had recently over the last 10 years.
I got you. Ronald Brown. How you doing, Ron? Phillies, you like the Phillies today? Yes, they are. They're going against their rook, and their bat should be rocking. Yep, their bat should be rocking. We'll, and we talked about that game before. That's the only way to take. You're taking it the right way because at the line was like -170 or whatever. So if you're gonna take that game, that's what you got to do. So next game up is Boston at San Francisco. I had Boston yesterday plus 127. Boston's been playing well lately. They and the American League East keeps on dominating outside their division. Now it's the record that is shown. They're hitting. I talked about it with Doc last Saturday. I don't have the number right in front of me, but it was mostly towards the number was about the American League teams, how they're beating everybody. But Boston's been playing well. The American League East has been feasting outside outside the division, even though this is the National League team. The Giants, I can't figure out. They're all over the place. They're up there. I can't figure out the Giants, to be honest with you. They went on that roll for a little while right before the All-Star break, right? Remember they won 10 straight or something? They got a lineup full of ex-Mets, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But, I like Boston today again. I had them yesterday. They were plus 127. I thought that line was crazy. I did take them today at minus 112. Now I'm seeing him. I see a 115. I got to look at the lines and see where. But that's what I took. I took Paxton on the road. He's been pitching better at home than on his record. His numbers are better at home, but on the road, 37 innings, 40 Ks, with a 4-2 record, not bad. Giants last 30 days versus lefties.
Oh,
23rd in team isolated power, which is a number I like looking at, and team OPS. They're ranked 29th. They're only one more team worse than them in baseball, not in the National League, in baseball, versus lefties the last 30 days. I think Paxton has a decent outing today. Not to get all long-winded at, I could go on and on with this game, but I took Boston.
Yeah. All right. Good.
What did you
We're on
do?
the same thing. But Paxton better pitch well because that was the main.
Yeah. I'm a little worried about him. I wouldn't take his strikeout prop. That's for sure.
I took.
Boston's minus 120 now. Good. At least
I took the strikeout prop, and I debated it. I cannot tell you how long I debated it. The last 2 weeks. Facing 146 pitches or 146 at bats, the Giants have a 30.1% K rate, and they have a 37 weighted runs created plus, and they have a ISO of 136. So compare that to them versus left-handed pitching at home, and for the month of July essentially, and the numbers completely flip. And now you have the Giants with a 19.8% K rate. So it drops almost 11%. And they have still no power versus left-handed pitching. But they've at least – no, I'm not even reading that correctly. And they have no average versus left-handed pitching. So it's kind of like, what exactly am I going to see? Am I going to see more of the strikeouts from Paxton? I don't know if this is necessarily a great spot because the Giants have been much better against the strikeout at home. But they've also been horrific against the strikeout versus lefties recently. And I just remember Tariq Skubal going out there and carving them up, just dicing them up, and they looked completely overmatched. And if you're talking Tariq Skubal at this point versus James Paxton at this point, I'm going to take Paxton right now because Skubal hasn't gotten his feet back underneath him completely. It's just, is the home batter's eye enough of the advantage to counteract what Paxton can do on the mound? So I took Paxton two ways. I took him with the K prop over 5.5, and I also took the hits under at 6. I'm sorry, it was the K's over 6.5 and the hits under 4.5. And then I'm on the Red Sox full game money line run line.
That'd be hard to lose both of those prop bets with the hits
I mean,
and the
yeah,
strikeouts.
it would be tough.
Yeah, I like that.
I just put them half units on each. I just did half
I
units
got
on
you.
each.
That's why I use it. I should say that to act. I sometimes I even forget to say that. Every prop bets that I make, I always do. I do bet half units on my prop bets.
Yeah, and I've definitely done that.
Sorry,
unless I feel like I got a good feel for them. And some of these I do have a unit on because it's like, all right, I've started to get a pretty good rhythm to my prop bets for the strikeouts. But when it comes to like walks or this pitcher to record a win, but Ronald Brown actually kind of brings up the fact that San Francisco can be unpredictable.
Yeah,
they had the stomach flu. Like they had the stomach flu like not too long ago that really ran through that clubhouse and did a number on them. And they've had some better at bats recently. I mean, I Casey Schmidt saw, I think, like 30 pitches in the one game versus Skubal. But it still feels like there might be a little window. Like the window might still be a little open for me to squeeze out maybe one more game, one more pitcher prop, one more side against the Giants before it's kind of like, all right, back off, abandon ship. Let's let the Giants start to kind of figure this out in this homestand. Because I do think they kind of figure it out here in the near future, especially with Luciano. Once they called him up, I think he can inject a little bit of life. But I think Boston, especially, and this is the other important fact here for this game, Walker is opening, but he's only going to go for about
a couple innings, right?
Yeah, a couple innings. And he's pitched very well. DeSclafani is then coming in, and DeSclafani has righty-lefty splits, and he is very poor against left-handed hitters.
I hate that pitcher.
The Red Sox have a ton of left-handed hitters.
So why? Because DeSclafani was listed yesterday, I thought, and then I seen Walker this morning. Why'd they do that? To give Walker a start? I mean, this kid Walker could be good. I mean, Ronald mentioned it. You know, he is 3-0. His whip 1-2-3. He had it. You know, I think he's like, you know, he's a wild card. We don't really know about him too much.
Yeah, if I could do a first three under, but I don't have first threes on any of my books.
Yeah, I don't. To be honest with you, I hate that. I hate that bet. That's me personally. I hate that. I feel like that first 3-inning bet, you really are getting so specific on that. That's why I don't like first inning Nerfies. I don't like those. I don't like those bets because they're just so damn specific. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I think you really got to target yourself.
Well, this would be the specific situation, though.
Yeah, I hear you what you're saying.
You have that spot start.
It makes sense.
And there are certain pitchers. Dylan Cease is my number one Nerfy guy. He's fantastic in the first inning.
Right.
But you have to pair him with people. Like, you can't just be like, I see way too many people just play the Nerfies. And it's just like, oh, these two teams don't have good offenses, so I'm playing the Nerfy.
No, that's the worst.
It's like, well, that's not how that works. Like, there has to be a specific formula, and you can look on Baseball Savant. You can see what the ERA is for every single pitcher in the first inning. Right. I do think San Francisco is going to get better here. I don't think it's today. I don't think this is the spot. I think that kind of as the week progresses next week, I think that's going to be a time where you're going to start seeing some people jump on Giants, and the Giants can be a nice backing moving forward. But today, I think it's a Boston spot.
Yeah, I hear what you say. I agree with you. The Mets, the first half of the year, they were getting outscored in the first inning. It was like 3-1. I forgot what the number was, but it was ridiculous at one point. It was like 40-something runs to like 15 or 16. It was ridiculous. And I didn't really follow it after All-Star break, but the Mets were just typical what you were talking about. They weren't playing well. You figured two bad offenses. Well, guess what? Sometimes the defense is bad too. They were a team that if you bet yes, you were making money on those first innings. That's for sure. Paxton's last three, not great.
He's giving up runs.
15 innings pitched, 6 ERA, 1.13 whip. So he's giving up that long ball, right?
I would not
mind. 14 Ks, 3 homers.
That first three, I mean, I know you do not like those, but if you're trying to back Walker, first three San Francisco could be
-104. He's saying.
Yeah, Brown. Could be kind of because I was tagging.
Might be a sneaky pick. My book don't have it anyhow, so don't.
Yeah, I'm not doing. I don't have it either. But
Bet US don't have it. Bet Online don't have it. I think some books did have. I did see it at one point at the beginning of the year, actually, on Bet US, and then I didn't see it no more. I have a feeling maybe some books that were playing it, kind of took that away. Maybe they were getting hit on it. Maybe I'm wrong about that. There's just You know what other bet I just can't stand, and this might be the only disagreement me and Jimmy the Bag ever really had. And it's over the -1 line. I just hate that fucking bet, and I just feel like just bet the game, bet the run line, bet the game. I hate that -1, and that's the funny thing. Like that's the only we laugh about it. It's like the only thing we ever really do, what would happen, what we do that but I never even heard of the -1 until 5 years ago when him and Pete started talking about it. I kind of feel like he invented it because they were just doing it. Now you see -1s. You see people talking about it all the time. I never even heard that until then. But anyhow,
the way I do my -1, or at least my hybrid, is
that's a Puff Sports Radio bet right there.
Yeah, it is. It is because that's where I learned how to do that. At least
me too. I never. Yeah.
And it's basically a full unit on the money line, and then it's a 15% bet on the run line. That's generally how I do it. So it's not like a full.
You don't split a unit.
I don't split it. I don't go onto the odds calculator and figure out how much do I have to put on the money line and how much do I have to put on the run line in order to cover a -1 or to get a -1. I just go, all right, full unit on the money line, and I'm going to hit the run line with the 10%, 15% bet. And that's such a bad way I've done it.
That's not such a bad way to do it. I really think about stuff is such a bad. So yeah, Ronald, I was pretty close, right? You see that? Moose. The Mets were outscored 46-15 in the first half. I told you it was up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It was like, but you want to know something? Those are the kind of numbers you really, we got to be sharper sometimes. Think about the money we could have made on that stupid bet. You'd be surprised, right? It's just like those are things in sports and sports betting sometimes that I talk about a lot about. Just especially when like people are asking me different questions. You'd be surprised on these little. There are trends that go, whether it's a coincidence or not. There's things that go on for a while that if you zone in on them, and don't jump off them just because they lose. You'll win 7, 8 in a row. So and they might lose the next 2. Doesn't mean you should jump off them because sometimes that goddamn streaks keep going. Yep. But anyhow, you use Bet Rivers. I got you. Cool. My baseball bets are all on Bet Online and Bet US, and more Bet US than Bet Online lately. Maybe because I won more on Bet US and my account is more. Maybe that's the reason. Let's be honest.
And you go back to the pool where the money's been made too. You don't go back to the pool where the money's been lost. Like no, that one can stay on the bench. All right.
Why I like Bet Online is I could play poker. That's the original reason. I've been on Bet Online for a few years. But they're both good with baseball, guys. They are really good with baseball. Next game up, Cubs against the Cardinals. We talked about that game already. Yeah, we talked about Wainwright and stuff, didn't we?
Yeah. I talked about him.
Yeah. We were just talking at the beginning of we really didn't cap this game. I did take the Cubs team total over 4.5. It was -125. That's about my limit with team totals. A lot of ways I cap. I got my ways that I do it. Everything works different for and I don't disparage anybody the way they play. And if a lot of times bankrolls have to you could play a lot of -170s if you got a big bankroll, right? So this is the way I like to keep my limits at a certain thing. Keeps me disciplined. And with team totals, really 125 is about my limit. But that's what I took. I was a little scared about taking the Cubs today for some reason. I've been on them a lot this week, and for good reason. Tally on, let's see. He has like an over 5 ERA, right? Wainwright like over 7. Yeah. Cubs have been playing a little bit better. They've been scoring some runs. Cubs versus righties numbers, they're all been good. Wainwright is like we talked about him before. It's a tough matchup. I see the money going towards St. Louis. I see an opening. I just popped onto covers, and I see an opening of 117, and now I see a 110. Ronald, what kind of number you got there for the Cubs St. Louis on Bet Rivers? Let us know. But that's what I did on this game. Did you take this game?
No, I didn't. This is one of those. This is one of the weather games, and I'm going to find a way for the rest of this year pretty much to figure out how to be on Wainwright in some way, shape, or form, because I think the lines are going to mess up. But I couldn't do it here. And the big reason I'll be on him, just to explain that part a little bit, is when he came back from his inflated ERA injury.
Right.
He talked about, and this is to the media, to the coaches, and coaches backing him up, confirming this, that the ball started feeling like it normally does coming out of his hand. That for the first part of the season and the World Baseball Classic, he could never feel the release point. For a guy that relies on a breaking ball and off-speed pitches, those are feel pitches. And if you don't have the feel for that pitch, you're going to struggle. I don't care who you are. I mean, we've seen it with Sandy Alcantara this year as well. He has not had the feel for his changeup, and he has struggled mightily for most of the season. I think Wainwright is going to be a backable pitcher, but today versus the Cubs, you look at some of the numbers these Cubs have against Wainwright, it's ridiculous. I mean, and it's not a small sample size. I mean, Ian Happ in 34 at-bats, 13 hits, 6 home runs. So maybe if you want a Happ home run, especially given what happened this series with Miles Michaelis turning into the world's biggest bitch in the world. So I could see that having a great game. And then you also had the guy Padromo doing it to Manny Machado out here. I mean, some of these pitchers are such babies. Like, they're such little bitches, you know? I'm a pitcher, but I never felt the need to like go after somebody like that when I was an adult. Those were things I did when I was a kid. So, grow up, all right? You don't like a guy that hit a home run off of you, don't let the home run get hit, all right? How about that? But you look at some of the other numbers from these guys. Yan Gomes hitting 471, Tucker Barnhart hitting 381, 556, 375, 273. I mean, that's 5 guys that are already going to be in the lineup versus Wainwright that have had crazy success, and the Cubs are smashing right-handed pitching right now. I'll be on Wainwright. I promised the guys.
Oh, he froze up. He froze up again.
What
word?
And I started doing
there you go. There you go.
Yeah, and I started doing the dive, and it was like, Taillon's actually got righty-lefty splits, and versus right-handers has been very good, and even against lefties, low batting average, he's given up power. And do the Cardinals have a left-handed power bat that they can really trust? I don't think they really do. So I think this is a Cubs spot, but with the weather and how much I wanted to be on Wainwright, I'm not going to be on this, but I like your Cubs team total, especially with the Cardinals bullpen being complete ass. And I would like to be on the Cubs here, but I'm gonna abstain. I'm gonna hold off because I can still see Wainwright having a good game.
I don't know why I don't like this line. I don't understand this -103. I kind of don't like this line. I wish the Cubs were favorites. The Cubs are -120. I would be on them. I tell you right now. I would.
Honestly, I was shocked too because it's like, really, the line makers are already like giving Wainwright credit after just one decent start, or are they really saying Taillon is that bad? But you look at some of his metrics, especially recently, they're not terrible. I mean, just look at how many runs he's given up. He's facing the Cardinals for the second time here. That's a problem. Right. But in his last start, he only gave up 1 run, 6 strikeouts. Before that, 3-0. And then you had the list of bad starts. But in his last 1, 2, 3 starts, he's pitched very well. So maybe he's figured something out.
19 innings, 1.86 ERA, 0.98 WHIP, 14 Ks, only 1 homer in those 3 starts, 2-0. So you're right, 100% right on that. Where Wainwright, they have Wainwright listed his last 3, only 10 innings.
Yeah, but it's just 1 start. That's it.
But
he's only had one start.
Right, and I
watched it. He was much better. He was like, his curveball actually had better bite. And that's the thing is he's got to have. His curveball has to come out on plane with his fastball. If you see that hump, like right away, like major league hitters are going to see that and immediately they're going to recognize it. But if it comes out more on plane, that's when Wainwright has his, 2-hit, 9-inning shutout performance. And he's still very capable of that. And I think Wainwright will be a guy I will be on as long as I continue to see him sustain this feeling he has for his off-speed pitches and not lose too much spin rate or velocity. But today is not the day I'm going to do it. I'm going to be off of it. Gotcha. I think it's a Cubs spot.
I got you. We should see. Like I said, it's hot and humid over there. Who knows what's going to happen with the weather? It's tonight. The under and over is at 10. So, next game up, a tricky one. Tampa Bay at Houston. I had Houston yesterday, plus 102. in a loss. I didn't take this game today. Bradley's been, a little up and down. He's not pitched as well as I think that they thought he was going to continue to pitch like he was at the beginning of the. I read a whole article and I talked about it a couple times, and that you as a pitcher might be interested in it unless you know it already. That Bradley really tries to mirror himself as Glass now. That's who he's trying to copy. That's who he's trying to, and that's a good guy to basically be a mentor. That's a good guy to follow as a young pitcher. They say that they showed a graphic with their release points. Both their release points seem to be at the same spot. And one thing about Glass which I always liked, was with his variable pitches, he still comes out at the same spot. You don't see it drop off. When he's pitching the curve, you don't see his arm really drop. He seems to be leaving the ball seems to be leaving at that same spot, which obviously is a big thing. I kind of like Tampa Bay today. As a little bit of a bounce back. Hunter Brown is another one that's. I got some notes on him. Did you take this game at all?
No, but I would love to expand on the whole. Taj, but, so if you got any more cap, I'll talk after you get done.
No, go ahead. I have to find it.
All right. So one of the things that goes on with the Tampa Bay Rays is they do a lot of short arm development, meaning that when they get pitchers into their scap load is going to be more here. So if they're throwing with their right arm, they're going to be more here rather than kind of reaching all the way back. And that's something that has been more and more common at some of these big time pitching programs, Vanderbilt, LSU, Ole Miss, a lot of places that are starting to see a lot of crazy big time arms. They're teaching a lot of that, short arm slot right here. And that's why when you see like that release point, it's going to be very similar to the release point for Glasnow versus Bradley. It's going to be just a slight abduction of that shoulder rotation or something like that. But that's something the Rays have taught. That's something I've learned and I've actually picked up and I teach now. I teach the short arm here because if you look at any boxer, every single boxer, it's always a quick load and a punch. It's not a reach all the way back because you get your max power. As soon as you hit a certain elastic point in your shoulders and they're set, you are now at max rotational power. And if you start going beyond that, you're creating too deep of a rotation and you can create internal or external rotation issues depending on how your acceleration pattern is. I really like both of these guys. I do. I think Taj Bradley and Hunter Brown will eventually be dogs in this league. But you know what, Dom? I say that about so many damn young pitchers because I just love young pitchers coming into the league.
And they're better and better every year. I notice it every year. These rookie pitchers are getting better and better. Last couple of years, we've seen it with Strider. We've seen it with. I mean, we could go on and on with a list, but I'm with you 100% on that.
Yeah, the issue here though is all right. Young pitcher, very erratic, both sides. Are they showing up today? Because
both don't go deep, right?
Yeah. How many times have you seen a game like this where it's a big game, two young pitchers, and they just shove? I mean, like 10 strikeouts for each one of them, 22 total between the two, 3 hits between the two teams. And conversely, how many times have you seen neither pitcher make it out of the third inning?
Right.
It's all over the place. And I think these games are going to be, and rightfully so, hyped up as potential ALCS type matchup. And I think these players are well aware. They are both fighting for spots right now, and they both need to establish their playoff prowess against a team like this. I couldn't pick a side. I couldn't pick a total. I couldn't pick a prop. There's just too much volatility here, especially without Tuve back in the lineup. Your Dong back coming back. So I stayed off of this, but I really like the two young pitchers, and I do appreciate the opportunity to talk about one of the best pitching programs in Major League Baseball in Tampa Bay.
Yep. I mean, as far as today's game, maybe Bradley has a little advantage. Maybe. I mean, listen, he hasn't pitched 5 innings or last in his last 5 games, I believe. One thing I did notice is Brown's last 4 starts, Astros are 1-3. His last start was against Oakland. It was a decent start, but it was against Oakland. 6 innings, 4 Ks, 2 homers, I believe, or 2 earned. Then he struggled against the Rockies, and then he got beat up in that Mariners game, 10-1 loss. So he hasn't been pitching great. But I have bet against Bradley a few times and won because I started feeling he was getting overinflated and he was getting overhyped. But I agree with you. These guys are definitely pitchers looking forward to. I had a question mark with like a maybe Tampa team total over. I kind of lean for Tampa some reason today. They haven't been playing well. There's no really reason to So I stayed off the damn game
Yeah,
because
if
I had too
anything,
many questions.
I'd be with Ronald. I'd lean under.
I'm guessing. It's let's just a quick little dive on the last three games, which I always like to do. Bradley 15 innings pitched, Brown 14 innings pitched. Bradley 5.50 ERA, Brown almost a 7. Their whips 1.33 for Bradley, 1.7 for Brown. Both had 19 strikeouts. Both have 3 home runs in those 3 starts. Like you mentioned, they're definitely guys to look forward to going. Tampa, we knew they were going to have a little bit. I mean, they couldn't keep up what they were doing, right? But now after the All-Star break, they're kind of really faltering, and now this next 10 games is going to mean a lot. They had some room to spare, right? They had some room to play some bad baseball as they've been doing. But August is coming, and now we will see what the Tampa Bay Rays are really made of.
Yeah.
I still think they're a play-on team, but I know some people are doubting them. We'll see what happens. Even like I even mentioned it with the Braves. You knew they were going to falter a little bit, but
yeah, of course.
I baseball. Still, that's baseball exactly. So that's that. What is next? So that game I left alone. The next game up is the Yankees against Baltimore, Schmidt against Wells. I did take this game. Judge is back in the lineup. I'm sure the Yankees are happy about that. I think Schmidt's the better pitcher last few games. I think he started out not so great. I think he's been pitching better and better. I mean, beginning of the season, his ERA got up to in that 7 area. Now he's a little bit over 4, right? 4.33 or something. Yanks won last 4 of his last 5 starts. Wells first of all, his issues with control is getting a little bit. So I liked Wells. I like him as a pitcher, but hasn't been pitching well lately. Gave up a bunch of runs, right? 6 1/3, gave up 8 earned runs. His last 2 starts, so he hasn't been pitching well. I took the Yankees today at plus 110. I thought the price was good. I see a plus 100 now. Baltimore's a tough team. Baltimore has been went into Tampa and really showed what they're made of. I was a little bit surprised on that, man. Listen, DJ Big Boss ask if I want to jump on. Jump on. I'm on the show. We're doing a show. Come on in.
What's your Big Boss doing right now?
What he's doing is trying to get me to come on now. A little what we call the lab and bullshit a little bit what's going on. We have some things to work out. So he just wants to bullshit. I guess he thought the show might have been over by now. But anyhow, I took the Yankees today against Baltimore, which, like I said, Baltimore's been playing good ball. When you thought they were going to start faltering, they didn't. I don't know, man. This American League East, like I talked about before, is a dominant division. In winning games outside their division, but Baltimore definitely has had the upper hand so far. But I think the Yankees might have a little spark in them. I think I like Schmidt. Last three, he's 3-0 his last 3. 16 innings pitched, like I said, 4.32 ERA, 0.90 WHIP, 17 Ks to 4 home runs, which I don't like to see. Wells' last 3, only 12 innings pitched combined. 7.30 ERA, 1.70 WHIP, which is not good.
Yeah, he's been terrible.
11 Ks. I thought the price was right there. I think the Yanks are probably going to be favored by game time, and I love that dog to favorite move. Like I talked about money splits that you can't, you can't make that the end all be all. But I sure as hell in every sport love when I see that dog to favorite move. Especially on that low end, that minus 110 to, plus 110 to like a minus 105 or whatever the hell. I love that. But I took the Yankees anyhow this morning at plus 110. How about you?
I would love to be on the first 5 over, but I'm not going to take it. The rain is enough for me to back off. The one thing that was not mentioned about Clark Schmidt, crazy left-right splits. He has really struggled against left-handed hitters. I think he's given up like a 300 average over his last 5 starts, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I did write down, the fact that the Orioles are just riddled with left-handed hitters, but they are not hitting right-handed pitching right now. I mean, they have a 231 average against this month, 410 slugging, 703 OPS is fine, 179 ISO is fine, but a 91 weighted runs created plus. But I still thought the splits plus Judge returning and Wells having struggled, I thought this was a good spot for an over. But the weather report, and I just double checked it right now using AccuWeather, starting at 5 o'clock, starting at 6 o'clock, so right around game time, it's a 66% chance of rain and thunderstorms, and that lasts through 7, and then again it kicks up around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. It's supposed to continue to rain, and that's just enough for me. Like, you know what? I really don't like dealing with those rain games. I generally do think rain games are going to go towards the over, but we saw last night, if you hold the starting pitchers and keep them ready, it can work the opposite way as well.
Yeah.
Because it's easier for a pitcher to kind of get into their rhythm versus a hitter that might have been sitting around a little bit more without the ability to use a cage.
So I get that. I don't know. We'll see if the weather affects this game or not. Might just be thunderstorms like's been going on in the area, but I agree with you. Judge's home run prop is 215. That's crazy. That's too low.
Yeah,
that's way too low. It got to be over. First of all, I'm never taking a home run prop that's less than 300. It got to be 3-1, man. Got to be.
And Wells has given up home runs too. I mean, just look since.
But Judge just got back. Like yesterday, they had a home run prop on him. Yesterday, that was really low. He hasn't played in a while, guys. Give him a break. Let him swing the bat a little bit. Let him get a couple games under his belt, right?
Yeah. But Wells has given up 10 home runs since the beginning of June, and
Yankees team total
might
not be a bad
4,
bad
5,
look.
6, 7, 8. Yeah, 9 starts. He's given up 10 home runs.
Yeah.
So not a bad look. I mean, again, I love the over. I do. I mean,
and that's a tough thing to say with Yankees, because Yankees and overs don't really mix. But I do think they're going to start hitting the ball, and I think the Yankees are one of the teams I've written down that under to over trend might change, and it has been changing actually little by little. If you look after the All-Star break, they have gone over at a pretty decent rate. So I get you. I did have the Yankees yesterday on the first 5, but I agree with you. If I had to take an under and over, I'd probably take the over. I don't like taking those big numbers, but I did take the Yankees plus 110. I think they got the advantage today. We will see. It's a big game for them. This is a big series.
Big series. Yeah, big series.
Big series for them. Yankees still got a lot of problems, man. Judge isn't. Listen, they said Judge was worth 2 runs per game. I guess we will see. The Yankees sure as hell could use those 2 runs per game.
Yeah, I also do not like Hyde as a manager. I think Hyde is he's borderline incompetent at times. I mean, there's been times where he's arguing with an umpire and he just doesn't even know the rule. He's just like, dude, you need to know what you're arguing, and if what you're arguing is correct.
You have to just go out there and arguing. What the hell you're arguing for?
Yeah, I mean, it's like South Park, where the community where it's just rabble. Like I don't know what you're saying. Like, what are you trying to argue here? So I think they do need to get a new manager in there sooner rather than later, and I hope he doesn't get rewarded for the fact that the Orioles are playing well, because the Orioles are playing well because they have a lot of really good young talent. It's not because of fucking Hyde. Like, Hyde is not the reason that they're playing well.
That's funny. That is funny. That's funny you mentioned South Park. I didn't know nothing about, obviously I'm older. I didn't know shit about South Park or Family Guy, actually, for after if it was on already a couple of years. And one of the kids, I owned a moving company over here on Long Island for a long time. One of the kids that worked for me used to always talk about South Park. I'm like, what the hell? He goes, you gotta watch it. You're gonna like it, boss. You're gonna like it, boss. So the first episode I ever seen. Now this is back when Dog the Bounty Hunter was popular on TV.
That's a good episode.
And that's the first episode I ever seen was Cartman being Dog in the fucking hallway, and he asked the kid if he wants a cigarette. I had tears rolling down my eyes because I used to watch Dog all the time. And at that time, it first came on TV. And ever since then, I've been a South Park fan. So that's my little South Park story.
That's such a
that episode was that was a good episode for me to watch for the first time because that cooked me. And then going out to California, the internet, the Walmart, and just the whole. It's classic. It's classic. But that Dog, Cartman as Dog the Bounty Hunter, just today still makes me laugh. Yeah. It's just that part too when he execute. Want a cigarette?
Want a cigarette? Hey, hall pass, bro. Where's your hall pass, bro?
Yeah. Fucking great. Anyhow, that's my South Park story. That was the New York. The next game up I didn't take. I was close to taking the Brewers yesterday. Oh, no, wait. I did take the Brewers yesterday, plus 150. That was one of the losses that I had. I thought that was a good spot for them yesterday. Scored a lot of runs in that game, but it didn't work out for me. But today, I didn't touch the game today. I really don't mind them again today. I'm not the biggest Bryce Elder fan, that's for sure. Yeah. And Atlanta hasn't been playing the greatest ball lately, but can't go against Atlanta too much. They burned me yesterday. I'm not going to go do it today, but and I really didn't. I just glanced over this game for that reason. Did you touch this game at all?
I didn't, and as soon as I kind of saw the pictures, I was just like, there's no way to be able to touch this. Like, I mean, I would like to try to fade Tehran, because he had that crazy run, and there's been some kind of regression back to the means here. But you're not going to be able to get a pick or a bet that you're like, oh, all right, I feel really good about this. Because there's going to be something that is just a little bit off. Like if you're trying to take the Braves team total over, you also have to understand the fact that the Brewers have had the best bullpen in baseball this month, 2.53 ERA, 189 average against, and 282 slug. I mean, that's ridiculous. So that wouldn't really make sense. And Tehran does get ground balls. So if you do get traffic, he's one ground ball away from getting out of it. The Braves don't necessarily ground into double plays, but they sure as hell have guys that are very capable of doing that. So I just, as soon as I saw the pictures, I kind of gave it a quick little cursory glance at team totals and kind of individual performances against these guys. And I didn't see anything that just stood out. So I was out.
Elder, man, last three starts, pretty bad. 12 innings total, 10 ERA, 2 WHIP. You don't see two too often. 6 Ks to 4 home runs. So, I stayed away from this game. I could see some runs going in, but I stayed away from this game. The next game up, only a few games left. I did take...
Donnie, actually, real quick, it's not applicable today. It's not applicable today, but it would have worked yesterday, and it's a trend I've been on for a while now. The first game in a home series for the Braves, team total over 5.5. The number on it is ridiculous. It is hit 14 out of 16 or 15 out of 17 times this year. So only 2 games have they not gone over their team total or gone over 5.5 runs. And that's something that I will be on for the rest of the year. First game of a home series, I will be on Braves team total over because that trend is. I think that's the number one trend in baseball right now. Is Braves first.
I can give you another one. I can give you another one that's right correlated to yours, and I disregarded it yesterday, and it bit me in the ass. Going back the last 2 years, I believe.
All right.
Atlanta's first game at home on this when their first game in the series at home, they have a great have a great win record.
It's ridiculous.
Just their win record alone. So you're saying the team total also correlates with that, which would make sense, right? But So DJ Big Boss told me he had a bad hair day, but I guess he fixed himself up. Let's add DJ Big Boss. What's up, and then look, he fixed that. What happened to those that hair, man?
Oh man, it's not the best today, man. I have to go
That's
to my
funny,
stylist.
Man. Yeah. But so anyhow, say hello to Moose Money joining Who-Bangin Sports, baby.
Oh, I just got off a show with him last night.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Good money. Love having you here, Moose. Love having you. Okay, so the next game up. So we didn't take anything on the Milwaukee Atlanta game. There's only a few games left. I am on the two of them, and one of them is the Seattle Arizona Diamondbacks game. Brian Wu, how you say his last name? Fat.
I just call him Fat.
I mean the P is silent, right? So
it's a fat spot for me. Let's say
it's a fat spot for you. D-backs, a team that we talked about when we did our little breakdown last week. That how well they played in the first half. It's a team I thought might be struggling in the second half. I don't think they have the pitching to go deep. They have been showing some signs of. They've been just up and down lately. They haven't been playing as good as they have been. Their pen is struggling. Fat's first start back, he went long but gave up 3 home runs. D-backs lost that game versus Cincy. Wu had some good starts, but he struggled against Toronto and the Twins, right? I think the Mariners have been playing better ball than the D-backs. I kind of like this spot. I think Wu might have a nice little start here today. The money is going all on Arizona, but I did take Seattle minus 115 this morning. That's what I did. Did you take this game?
I did, and I'm on the over here, first 5. And
was it
crazy
5
stat.
or 4.5? What was it?
It was a 5. Let me just double check. But I'm pretty sure it was a 5 that I took at. Yes, it was a 5. And I would have waited on it because I think it goes down. I think you could get a 5 at either a much better number, or you could even pay a little juice on a 4.5. I do think the number goes down. I think there's money coming in on the under because you look at Wu and a lot of people, like you said, expecting a bounce back here. But there's kind of a crazy split he's got, and he's had this split in the minors too. You look at his numbers in the minor leagues. His left-handed batting split is ridiculous. He has a 13.83 ERA versus left-handed batters, and it's 80 batters faced or 78 batters faced this year, and an 851 slugging percentage. So you look at the Diamondbacks, they have a bunch of really quality left-handed hitters. I mean, Corbin Carroll from the left side, Ketel Marte can hit from the left side. So they've got some guys that can hit on that left-hand side. In fact, I think they have 7 potential lefties that they could put into the lineup today. So it depends on the lineup, but I think that it's going to be a very lefty-heavy lineup versus a pitcher that struggles versus left-handed batters. And then you look at Seattle versus right-handed pitching on the road, 121 weighted runs created plus, 468 slugging, 798 OPS. And Fat is nothing special. And he's just a guy at this point. And the Diamondbacks are they're in desperate need of making a splash in the trade for a starting pitcher. You can get Blake Snell and, get some of those prospects that you guys got over there. But I do think that this is just a guy they're putting in, trying to kind of fill the gap until they can get Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen lined up in their starts. First 5 over. I took it at 5. I took the bad juice because I wanted to have it on the show ready to go. I'm not sure what the line move's been on it, but the fact that money's coming in on Arizona leads me to think that they're expecting them to score some runs as well.
Yep. The team total might not even be a bad spot. I mean, both these teams are pretty. In a lot of ways, they're even similar. Weighted runs created, 104 for D-backs, 101 for Mariners. I just think that Seattle's been playing a little bit better ball since the break. I kind of like going with pitchers that struggled. Pitchers that I like that struggled the last few starts, I like to go. I know a lot of people like to keep on going against them. I go the other way a lot of times. I took a shot with Seattle today. Not my favorite bet. It was minus 115. I'm a little surprised about the D-backs getting some late money, but we'll see what happens. Tough game. Definitely not my favorite, that's for sure. Next game up is your Padres.
All right.
And like I talk about a lot, Padres, Mets, just two underachieving teams. They got all the talent in the world. They got the pitches. They got everything they should have to go deep, and they just, don't. Right? Yu Darvish is a God knows what's up with him. He's just so up and down. He looks great, then he doesn't look great. Texas, a team I liked, a great team, right? Another team in the first half who we knew was going to keep on, playing as well. But I kind of like them. They seem to be playing better, a little bit better again. They had a little lull there. Perez, though, another pitcher who's not somebody I want to put a lot of money on. Rangers all good against the righties. Perez has struggled on the road. His ERA is probably it's in that 6 area, low 6 area. Darvish, he was good against the Phillies in Toronto, but on the road, 12 innings, 1 earned run, 16 Ks. Then he loses at home to that spot that I'm sure you know all about against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Right? He let up 4 homers, 8 base hits, 7 earned, 4 in the third innings. Listen, I took the over in this game, over 9 minus 117. That's what I took in this game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I took in this game.
Have I talked to you, Dommy, about the whole Yu Darvish thing?
Yes, with the catches. I talked about that, and I actually mentioned you. Actually, last Thursday, my show on Thursday, I mentioned you about not this Thursday, last Saturday. We didn't do a show Thursday. I talked about that because we talked about that on Marley's show, and you schooled me with that, with the catches and the difference. But mention that to everybody because it's a great lesson.
All right, you look at when Yu Darvish had his best career years. They have come when he's had the same catcher behind home plate. When he was in Chicago, he had Victor Caratini was back there. I forget who it was when he was in Texas, but he had the same catcher in Texas generally over and over and over again. And the reason it's important is Yu Darvish has about 17, 18 pitches that he throws. And that means that there's a lot of variables that you can create for different sequences about how you want to attack guys. And yes, with PitchCom, you can tell the catcher, I want a fastball outside. But there's nuances to it. Do you want the catcher to set up off the plate? Do you want him to set up a little bit more towards the middle? Are you trying to throw more of that pitch in the dirt out of the zone? Are you trying to throw that pitch more in the deeper part of the plate? And these are all things that you really need to have a rapport and a relationship and chemistry with your catcher. The Padres have had 4 different catchers going back there this year between Austin Nola, Brett Sullivan, Luis Campusano, and Gary Sanchez. There's no rapport that's been made. And you have the language barrier as well. So the fact that Yu Darvish is struggling this year is zero surprise to me.
Right.
And he's going to continue to struggle until they get somebody back there that can have that the anticipation of what's going to be called and where they should be set up. Until they get that established rapport. And he was pitching well with Gary Sanchez, but then they switched it over to Campusano, and he had a terrible outing. Who was catching him last Thursday? It was Campusano. Why Preller or Melvin, whoever's making that decision about having him throw to different catchers, is a fucking moron, all right? And that's unfortunately who's in charge of this organization, is a moron. There are 693 reasons why this team has struggled, and it all revolves around incompetence and things that you just go, how do they not know? How are they not aware of this? I mean, I'm just a casual fan. Well, I'm a diehard fan, but it's just like I can see clearly that there is an issue with the communication and relationship with the catcher. And until that gets fixed, Yu Darvish, they're pouring money down the drain because he has to have that consistency behind home plate. So this is over. And you have the Padres versus left-handed
pitching. How can't they know
pitching.
this, though? How could they not know this?
Are you kidding?
How are the Padres doing this?
I mean, they have had. You look at who Preller has hired as managers over the past few. I mean, Jace Tingler is one of the dumbest people I've ever seen in my entire life. A guy that would go to a lefty pitcher to face the best right-handed bat on the bench for the opposing team, and he did that routinely. I mean, I cannot tell you. I mean, I'm sure Big Boss just loves hearing about a Padre fan just getting all flustered, because the Dodger daddy for the longest time. But it was the same stupid decisions, and I know Dave Roberts has had his issues, but nobody has come close to the incompetence that we've seen with decision making for the Padres. Maybe the Mets give us a run for our money, but no, we've been one of the most incompetent franchises.
Yeah, no, 100%. I listen. That's why I compare them to the Mets, because I just feel they got. Here's a little something I read that I had put aside for you, because this sums up your Padres season right now. The Padres follow the series with 3 games against the Rockies, who the worst record in the National League. Then they begin their stretch in August. Between August 4th and August 23rd, they play 14 games against the Dodgers, the D-backs, and the Marlins. So that's the stretch, man. So that's your season's right there, right?
It's done.
That's just over. But that's the stretch, man. That's gonna either make or break them, right? If they can some way, if they can do the leapfrog. And then they got the Cubs to deal with also as far as wild cards. Yeah, Arizona, Miami. Miami's been playing good. They're in this tough spot. Same as, I don't even think the Mets are even close to making the playoffs. So
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we did make a run.
If I had to take a side, I'd take Texas today, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
but I took the over 9. I think
over is
be
the
plenty
best.
of runs. Perez has pitched well against them. I didn't know Perez started out as a Ranger. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, and another interesting fact is the Hader, even in a 7-1 game, Hader had to get up and throw last night.
Darvish, yeah.
So the bullpen, there will be some issues with the bullpen today because Hader had to get warmed up last night. Yes. So if Hader comes in, it's an automatic over on Sunday. But the Padres versus left-handed pitching have been very, very good this year, and they've been good recently.
That's kind of what I liked, and like we never know with Darvish, right? So I took a shot with that over 9. To me, that was you're not going to take under 9, right? And
yeah,
I just thought it should have been 10. The sides were a tough one, so that's where I went at, and that's really the last game I took. There's also this Oakland Colorado game. I didn't touch that game.
Pass.
Paul Blackburn against Flexen of all people, and then the Reds against the Dodgers. I was going to put the Reds down as, like I said, I had so many bets yesterday, and I was going to add the Reds, and I didn't. And the only reason why I was going to add them is because lately against left-hand pitching, they've been beaten. They beat a couple decent lefties lately, but I didn't. That wasn't a good enough reason to take them, but they did win, right? But today, Weaver against Sheehan. I like Sheehan. I mean, he's a decent pitcher. Dodgers are the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers are just going to start rolling. They made some moves. Solid
moves too, like legit.
They got my boy Rosario, right? Is their shortstop now, right?
Yeah, but he's if I remember correctly, he's there's some negative stat about him that him and Kike are like the worst in something. I forget what the stat is.
He hasn't had a good. He hasn't hit the ball. He hasn't had a good at bats this year. I think he's a little bit below his average and hits, but he's a solid player. I always liked Rosario. He can only help that Dodger team. I think they got him because of they needed more lefties or something like that, or there was something I read too about him. I can't.
Yeah, they needed lefty. They definitely need left-handed. Right. Well, actually, no, they didn't really. I mean, they got Freeman. I mean, what more left-handed bat do you need than Freddie Freeman in your lineup?
Well, you got a good point there. What does a boy say? Dodgers team total over, full game over. So
yeah,
there you go. I mean, it's up to 10.5 now. Did you get the 10 line? I hope you at least got 10. It's just not an over. I like to take when it's over 9 is really my limit. But that's all we got for you today. To go over my bets, I took the Cubs team total over 4.5 minus 125. I took the Angels plus 109, the Yankees plus 110, the Red Sox minus 112, Seattle minus 115, and San Diego over 9 minus 117. I got a question mark on a lean Phillies Marlins parlay, but it was like plus 170. I don't know. I'm going to try to attack this Marlins one way or another because I really like them today. But that's what I took. Moose, What were your bets?
All right, I got the Marlins full game first 5. So I kind of ate the juice a little bit, and then I got the first 5 Mariners Diamondbacks over 5, and then I got the Red Sox money line run line the full unit 15%, the -1 that way. Not the minus pub sports one, but my kind of way to do it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then my player props: Alek Manoah over walks, Aaron Nola over Ks, Logan Allen over Ks, Paxton over Ks, and Paxton under 4.5 hits.
Beautiful. Shout out to the chat, Ronald Brown, AT33NC, looking who will be out in Las Vegas next weekend. You can always find those guys at the Orleans Hotel. Bad week for me. I got stuck with the my daughter picked a vacation before me, which means I got the kids a couple days next week. So my vacation is going to have to be at the end of August this year. But who else was in here? Razors Sharps was in. Our boy Mr. Good was in. Fo Patashi, Jimmy Gomez. Razor, like I mentioned, Sam Coleman. Thank you, everybody, for stopping in. It was great having you, Moose. We'll hopefully, not hopefully, we will be doing this again. I was ready to do something yesterday with Marley, but I know he had a couple issues, so we couldn't do that. But hopefully, I told him, unless we could try to get that Friday show going for him, we'd be glad to help him out with that. But other than that, I will be back on next Thursday at 10 a.m. for Light It Up. I will be back next Saturday at 10 a.m. for Light It Up. And Moose, let us know where they can find you. You got anything coming up, or you're doing your thing? You're doing your thing.
I'm just a free spirit, I'm all over the place. It was
freelancer.
Yeah, it was fun talking college football with the big boss yesterday. I just absolutely love that college football is right around the corner. My favorite time of the year when baseball and football intersect. Yeah. It's my favorite time of the year, and the weather, cools down a little bit. I'm all about that. But if you guys need anything, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm pretty approachable. I don't turn too many people away on my DMs. So if you have a question about a play, what do you think about this? Hey, why are you on that? Don't hesitate to reach out. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you're checking out all the content here on Who-Bangin. I mean, there's a lot of college football previews out there. There's the live bet with Schnizzle. So there's a lot of things out there. That's what I would like to say more than anything is if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do both. More than anything, make sure you're subscribed, and you can get those notifications of when we do go live or when Who-Bangin does go live.
Love to have you, man, Moose. I appreciate everything. And like I said, folks, we will be back next week on Wednesday.
Oh, Big Boss. Yo, what's up?
Big Boss has something to add to the...
Let me ask while we on camera, man.
Go ahead, buddy.
I'm going to be doing live breakdowns of the conferences soon. We're only doing the top 5 for Boston the Sauce. We want to invite you on whatever one that you like the most. The ACC, the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, or Pac-12. Which one you want to jump on for?
Dude, I do all of them. I mean, I do every comment. I think you mentioned that you did the Phil Steele and the Athlon. Well, I got that Phil Steele book. I read that cover to cover, back and forth.
That's DJ shit, Phil Steele.
Yeah. I love that book, man. Oh my god. So
I got a sty in my eye for straining reading that damn book this year already.
Dude, no joke. I mean, I can talk about any conference. I love college football. I mean, I do not limit myself to anything.
Yeah, so you guys work it out, man.
We'd
love to have you.
I'll reach out to you, and we'll have some fun on one of those ones. So we're probably going to be doing a big showdown with me and Marley for the SEC because we always have. He's a big SEC guy, and I'm a big hater.
That's
He was going to have me do the MAC. He was going to have me do the MAC, and I told him, okay, so basically I talk about Toledo, and that's it. Like, I mean,
Mac Overs, man. Mac Overs. That's what I always do.
Yeah,
man. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to working with you coming in this college football thing, man. So
yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna knock on your Twitter door and let them know as well, man.
Well, I will answer. I promise you that.
Yeah, Mr. Brown. We're going to be doing a lot of football there, Mr. Brown. So keep, so keep us in mind. We'll love having you also. He's on the Yankees money line, Phillies -1.5, Dodgers over 10, Seattle first 5 -0.5, and Atlanta team total over 5.5.
Nice.
Good luck to you, my brother.
There you go.
And good luck to everybody today. So thanks again for coming out, and we will see you soon.